I mean, I write so much, and it's been a daily thing for 6 years that there's been an awful lot of big stories or sort of like really involved issues that have gone over. But the Williams thing is probably one of the bigger ones. The general narrative in some of the other media coverage has been that the local residents don't want it, but that's
too simplified.
That's too simplified, and that follows with the narrative that local residents that are also African American don't want it, and the African Americans don't want it. But that's just too simplified. Right. So there was just like a community talk about some of the issues around that. I was one of the people that spoke, and I realized that because of the weird role I have in terms of trying to cover it and in terms of being sort of a spokesperson about it, I reached my threshold for wherein I could do that cleanly, and I've had to, like, after that event, it was just clear to me that I'd gotten in sort of over my head, so to speak, and so
you're seen as a bicycle advocate, and maybe can't be viewed. People will figure that you're biased in what should be done.
Yeah, that's why that was so tricky, is because I tried to pretty much do everything.
Yeah.
I wrote 25 stories about it since the process started.
Wow.
I've covered it in depth from what happened at the meeting, what do the engineers say, what are the proposals, and then when the racial thing got brought up, I covered that in depth. I shared audio of African American people that spoke at meetings very eloquently about why they don't think it's a good idea, all this stuff. And then I also in the comments started to share some of sort of my opinions about it and what I think needs to be said that wasn't being said. It got to where people started to not really understand my perspective and jump to the conclusion that I must be sort of on one side of the issue, and then it's once that label happens. I mean, I'm white. I'm sort of, I guess you could say, I'm defending.
Bicycle.
Yeah, I'm defending the bicycle part of the project. That right there makes it so that a lot of people around the table feel that I'm sort of like insensitive to the history of the neighborhood. And I know around this Williams issue, for one, there are people around that table who they sort of reference BikePortland, the BikePortland blog, as saying XYZ, and I know they're referencing comments either made by me or by other readers, but then that's how they'll make their opinion of the site and of the site's coverage, and that's been really discouraging to me.
Did you try to say, well, I'm not here necessarily as supporting one view or the other?
Yeah, and that was how I opened my talk on Williams the other night.
Right.
By saying that I'm not here to represent the bike community or any specific thing. This is just kind of what I'm seeing and what I wanted to say.
You've heard that if both sides complain about a story on a disputed issue, you're doing something right.
Yeah, not everybody's going to think it's fair, even if it is right.
Right. Yeah. Even if it can be absolutely accurate.
Right.
And pretty fair in how it's all presented.
Right.
And you will get people on both sides saying, no. I mean, this goes back to when I started as a sports reporter. You could cover a Grand Roosevelt game, say, and people from each side might call and say, oh, you so favor, or you really favor Roosevelt.
On prep sports, they found a reason?
Oh, sports. Yeah, people care a lot.
Wow.